Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, amma ba'd. We continue with the series on the Khawarij, and we are still talking about some of the reasons that gave birth to the Khawarij. Last week we mentioned the main reason, the number one reason, which was what? What was the reason last week? The main reason, number one reason. The ignorance, good. Their jahl. Okay, their jahl, the ignorance. And this is the number one trait you're going to find when it comes to the Khawarij. And we remind that ignorance in the religion does not mean that a person knows absolutely nothing. That's not what ignorance means. Ignorance means they don't know how to apply the religion properly. They don't know how to apply the religion properly. The Prophet ﷺ said about the Khawarij that the Quran will not get past their throats. So what does that mean? It means they have the Quran. They have the Quran, they have some knowledge. Prophet ﷺ said that they will speak the best of words, the words of the best of creation, in the words of the Prophet ﷺ, but they don't understand the proper implementation of it. So ignorance is not only that a person doesn't know something. This is one type of ignorance. Okay, this is jahl basit, adi, normal. But when it comes to ignorance, which is murakkab, it's compounded ignorance, this one is problematic. When a person thinks that he knows, and really he doesn't know. And when we spoke in the etiquettes of seeking knowledge course that we just finished, alhamdulillah, and we spoke a lot. And in the chapter of the Quran, a person reading the letters of the Quran but not understanding the meaning and implementation of the Quran, this is a problem. This is a major issue. And this is where part of when a person turns into Abu Shabar. For the ones that have done the etiquette of seeking knowledge, the actual book, Halli Talib al-Alam, you would have read about Abu Shabar, the person who attains the first level of knowledge. This is the person who has a little bit of knowledge and thinks that he's got all knowledge. Okay, he hasn't got to that second stage where he realizes he knows absolutely nothing. Okay, and these are definitely from the main reasons that the Khawarij were initially set up and why they are around today. Wallahu musta'an. The second of the reasons that the Khawarij started, and again it's important to understand why they started so that you can understand the reality today, is their stupidity and their lack of foresight. Their stupidity and their lack of foresight. The word stupid is a harsh word in this regard, but it is actually a reality, and this is something that the Prophet ﷺ alluded to. In one of the hadith when the Prophet ﷺ described the Khawarij, he said, حُدَثَاءَ أَسْنَانٍ سُفَهَاءَ أَحْلَامٍ. He said that they are young in age, their teeth are young, meaning they're young in age, and they are people who are not smart. سُفَهَاءَ أَحْلَامٍ. They don't have that foresight, they don't have that understanding, they can't read and study a matter and come to a proper conclusion. They don't have that ability. Okay, because they don't have that knowledge, they don't have that experience, they don't have that foresight, they don't have that wisdom, etc. So the Khawarij, you will find them dumb in that regard. They'll do the same things which are very stupid. They'll do and say things which actually come with more consequence on them and on others. They'll do and say things which, for a normal person, it's black and white. It's clear cut. But to them, they somehow see it in a twisted way. And when a person says, you went against the Prophet ﷺ, you went against Uthman, you went against Amr ibn al-As, you went against Ali, you went against Muawiyah, all the companions were against you, the ones that were alive at that time, they're all against you. How do you still sit there and say that we're upon the truth? Any sane person will look and say it's clear who's right and wrong. The simple fact that every single companion is against you, every single one of them is against you, this should be clear. But their stupidity does not allow them to accept these realities. The same thing with the ones today, they have the exact same stupidity. The exact same stupidity. Just like before, they went against, for example, the army of Ali. Even though they were only few in number, they were only small in number, big enough to cause problems, but not big enough to defeat the Muslim armies. They would do things even though they had the opportunity. Stay, you can pray with us, you can live around us, but don't cause any harm. It wasn't acceptable. They wanted to cause harm to the Muslims and they let them to be attacked. And they let them to be kicked out of the lands, etc. Kicked out of the cities to live on the outskirts of the city. If you do something which is stupid, it's going to bring back an attack against you. Retaliation. Why would you do such a stupid thing? Okay, stupidity in the aspect of all the scholars, all the companions, all the righteous have all gone against you. Why would you, how can you not say that what you're doing is wrong? But they have this stupidity in them. And nowadays, again, it's the exact same thing. They will do things which will bring about problems on themselves unnecessarily, natural consequences for things which are necessary in that issue. Like enjoying the good, forbidding the evil, you need to do that. Are people going to have some sort of backlash against you? Yes. But that's a natural consequence for something which is necessary. We're talking about a person purposely going out of his way to do something stupid, which is going to bring a negative consequence. That's not something that a wise person will do. And number two, they can't say a clear, blatant truth. Yani all the scholars would say one thing and they go against it. They go against it. You may sit as a sane, rational person and say, if all of the ulama say one thing, how do these people think they are right going against it? Or where are your ulama, or where is your backing? Or ulama pinpoint the wrong that they have and the deviance that they have, and they show through the Quran, through the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, through the statements of the Salaf, and still these people somehow think that they are right. How? Nowadays, wallah, from the funniest of things is that those, again, if you're not going to say the Khawarij, minimally, those that have the traits of the Khawarij, they repeat the exact same words the original Khawarij used to say. One of the things the original Khawarij used to repeat a lot is that the ulama are ulama of Hayd wa Nifas. These ulama, they are ulama of Hayd wa Nifas. They are ulama sitting teaching the fiqh of postnatal bleeding and menstruation. Yani instead of going out and fighting jihad and doing what you need to do and going against the rulers, you're sitting and teaching the people books of fiqh. They were smashed by the Salaf for saying such statements. And alhamdulillah, their stupidity was shown. Unfortunately, the same people who are on that path, if not exactly were Khawarij, from those who have the traits of the Khawarij, wallah, they repeat the exact same statement today. They say these mashayikh of Hayd wa Nifas, or the ummah is going what it's going for, and they're sitting and teaching the chapters of Hayd wa Nifas. They've at least changed the words a little bit. Say they're teaching Kitab al-Siyam, for example, or they're teaching the people what's halal, haram in dress, or say anything. Why would you repeat the exact same thing that was smashed for? But again, something that you may say is clear-cut, black and white, they won't say it as such because Allah Azza wa Jal has caused their hearts to be blind. From the stupidity that was seen, and this is again something that they think that they are 100% correct in. And this is why we never accuse the Khawarij of being insincere. Believe me, they believe what they're doing is 100% correct. But your belief that what you're doing is 100% correct is not enough. What you need to do is be 100% correct according to the Sharia. If you are arrogant to think that whatever I do is correct, without going back to making sure it's correct in the Quran and Sunnah, and that's not counted. How many older people that we know that were very, very, very simple in their knowledge, they would say things like, even though I don't pray, I know Allah's going to forgive me on the Day of Judgment. And we would look and we would point and we would say, how can you say such a thing? We say the same thing to them. You thinking because you're religious, that 100% you're upon the haqq, we say this is not acceptable. It needs to be according to the Quran and Sunnah. One of the heads at the time of Ali radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Wahab al-Rasibi, he had an issue thinking that he's enjoying the good and forbidding the evil against Ali. When he would speak against Ali, it wasn't because, wallah, he was a hypocrite. It wasn't because he wanted to cause fitna in this regard. It was because he thought he was doing the right thing, which was enjoying the good and forbidding the evil. And this is what they used to encourage the people to do. And when Ali radiallahu anhu used to give khutbah, they used to try and stand up and try and refute him during the khutbah. When he would give an address, they would think that they're doing the right thing by refuting him. Again, a person with the most basic of knowledge, the most basic of adab, the most basic of ABCs in the religion will know that this is not how it's done. And this is not a person that you do it to. But they thought that they were upon the truth. And they would say things in which they increased their foolishness, like, لا حكم إلا لله. Isn't this a beautiful statement? That there's no judgment except for Allah Azza wa Jal. Isn't that a nice statement? Is there anything wrong with that statement? There's nothing wrong with that statement in and of itself. This is the sha'ar, this is the motto that they used to always mention about Ali. لا حكم إلا لله. Ma Ali radiallahu anhu, what's he ruling by? The Injil? What's he ruling by? The Torah? What's he ruling by? He's ruling by the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they had that much arrogance and ignorance that they thought that Ali radiallahu anhu committed an act of kufr when he came to his ijtihad. Okay, through the implementation of the Quran. So what they're saying sounds beautiful, yes, it's good. But in reality, was it correct? It wasn't correct. And this is again the same issue that we have today. people saying words and mottos and slogans which sound absolutely amazing. Sounds amazing. But its substance is what we're worried about. Its substance, is it correct? Unfortunately not. Wallahu musta'an. From amongst the actions that they had of stupidity is the lack of foresight that they had, as we mentioned and alluded to earlier, in dealing with the Muslims. Even though the Muslims let them be. The Muslims let them be. Whether it was Uthman radiallahu anhu in Egypt, when he let them be against Amr ibn al-As, or when they were in Al-Madinah, or when dealing with the war between them, like Ali radiallahu anhu and Muawiyah. Because they were this is where they started openly against Ali radiallahu anhu, because they was part of that army. Or in Iraq, Ali radiallahu anhu let them be. If someone's letting you be, why are you causing issues? Why are you rocking the ship unnecessarily? But what did they do? They had that foresight, even though Ali let them go, and he would tell the people, leave them as long as they leave us. They couldn't handle that. They had to go and cause issues, and these caused issues for themselves, where Ali radiallahu anhu eventually took them to war and had wars against them, and these are very famous wars, and there were prophecies were fulfilled by the Prophet ﷺ in that war. Who knows that prophecy? In the battle of Nahrawan, there was a specific prophecy that was fulfilled by the Prophet ﷺ to show that Ali radiallahu anhu was on the truth.
When the Prophet ﷺ told him, you've been disagreeing with one of my wives, with one of the mothers of the believers?
La.
The
The what?
large bicep?
Not large bicep. La, the person had the deformed arm. He had a deformed arm. Okay? He will be in the deformed arm that the Prophet ﷺ told him that there will be, to the me, I'm paraphrasing, there will be issues and he'll be fighting against the people, but he will be the truth. And from the signs of the people that he fights is a person who will have a deformed arm. He'll have a deformed arm that will be like the breast of a woman. Okay? It will be like the breast of a woman. So this particular man, they call him Al-Mukhdaj, okay, or Dhu Thudayya. His arm, he had like a bicep, but his forearm was deformed and it was broken. It was not there, and he had like some hairs that the Prophet ﷺ described at the end of it. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that he will be from the ones that fight Ali radiallahu anhu. Okay, and when Ali radiallahu anhu fought them, he told the people, go and look for him, go and look for this particular person. And they searched and searched and they couldn't find. Then Ali radiallahu anhu went himself. He went himself to look and he found him and he showed the people. And this was for fulfillment of the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that regard.
Sheikh, was the man of the deformed one in his army or he's fighting against him?
Fighting against him. Fighting against him. Again, this, subhanAllah, the concept. You fighting against the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wallah, this is hard. You fighting against the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But it shows you the level of arrogance that these people had. And then for them to actually kill later on Ali radiallahu anhu, for them to kill him. For them to kill Uthman is one thing. Then on top of that, you kill Ali radiallahu anhu, wallah, this is big. Okay, but it shows you the arrogance that these people have. From the matters that caused the original Khawarij to come out and take their form is the matter of tahkim. And this is a build-up of all of their bad traits. Okay, when we said the story of the war between Ali and Muawiyah radiallahu anhuma, and Muawiyah sent the offer that we go back to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Ali radiallahu anhu accepted. Islamically, there is nothing wrong whatsoever in that. There is nothing wrong whatsoever. But the Khawarij love fitna. They love fitna. And their arrogance led them to believe that somehow this was kufr. That no, you as Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, you as Amir al-Mu'mineen, you should have destroyed them. They came out against us, we should have destroyed them. And you should have affirmed your place as the leader of the Muslims and taken over them and have authority over them. They didn't like that the Muslims were at peace. They didn't like that there was no issues. So because of their own whims and desires, this is what led them to make takfir on both of them. And this is one thing very important with the Khawarij. They will never be pleased with anything that you do. Never be pleased. They're always going to move the bar. Just like originally with Uthman radiallahu anhu, we have an issue with Amr ibn al-As. Okay, Uthman removes Amr ibn al-As. No problem. What happens? Now we're going to get to Uthman now. Okay, after we finish from Uthman, we're going to support Ali. Support Ali, will fight with you. Ali has the issue, we're going to get against Ali. And then when we say the different groups from the Khawarij, they constantly would split up from each other. Why? Because they're never happy. They always are going to find an issue. That's the nature of these people. The Khawarij, again, or those that have the traits of the Khawarij until today, they are exactly the same. They'll come and they'll want one thing from you. You do that one thing, now they want another thing. You want another thing, you want another thing, you want another thing, until you get to a point where you can't follow what they want anymore. You can't implement what they want anymore. You can't assist them in what they want anymore. Khalas, this is when you are now murji, you're a government agent, you're a munafiq, you're whatever it is, you're a madkhali, whatever it is. You will never be able to appease them, never. Why? Because they don't want that. On top of them not having usul, they're not having principles that they walk on to know right and wrong, munafiq from not munafiq, what takes a person outside the fold of Ahl Sunnah Jama'ah, etc. Besides the fact that they're not principled people. On top of that, they don't want goodness between you and others. They don't want that. They don't want for the Ummah to be united. They don't want that. They could get someone right now today, do exactly what they ask. Do exactly what they ask. Then they'll come and they'll find something else. They'll find something else. And they love to ride waves. They love to ride waves. Again, when Ali radiallahu anhu is fighting Muawiyah, no problem. When Ali stops, they have an issue. They constantly, even until today, they ride waves. They ride waves. Why? Because they're people that love fitna. This is the people, they love fitna. If we look at what's happening now in Palestine, may Allah Azza wa Jal give them and the Muslims all around the world victory. When a few years ago, when the matter of Hamas was coming up, anyone ever hear what any of these people would say about Hamas? You never heard anything that they used to say? Anyone used to hear anyone heard anything that they used to say about Hamas? They used to make takfir on Hamas. These same people who today are seeking izzah for Hamas, these same people, yesterday used to make takfir on Hamas. Wallah, I wish that they would come with some principles, some. Bring any principle. I mean, you're with a group, stay with that group, no problem. Stay with that group so we know who you are. One day you're making takfir on Hamas. Now that it's in your favor to be supportive, for whatever reason, now mashallah you're riding the wave. Now you're riding the wave. You want the mashayikh to speak about something, they speak about it. But they didn't speak in a way that we liked. Where are the mashayikh speaking out? What are the mashayikh speaking about? What happens? The mashayikh speak out? No, it's not in the way that we like. I mean, they'll never be happy, up, down, chameleons. Chameleons, there were chameleons before and the chameleons today. Allah musta'an. So the matter of tahkim, they misunderstood the complete matter and they caused issues because of it. Same thing with the reality today. They look at any matter, they mistake the matter, and then they hold everyone to that mistake that they made. If we look at, again, wallah, I hate bringing up names and groups and things like that. I really, really, really hate it, but and I'll try and avoid it as much as I can, but sometimes we need to get into a bit of detail. The matter that happened with ISIS a few years ago, the same issue happened. Again, you don't want to call them Khawarij, no issue. No, wallah, I could not care less. Again, matter of names, wallahi, it does. Call a person a Muslim or not a Muslim, who cares? Call a person a munafiq, not a munafiq, who cares? Worry about the substance. You don't want to call them Khawarij, no problem. You want to call them the best group on the face of the earth, no issue. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. If a person wants to call a Khawarij, let's just say, I'll go halfway and say, okay, there are traits of Khawarij. Those traits of Khawarij. From amongst the mistakes and amongst the issues, is that they said, he's the Khalifa, and now everyone needs to give him bay'ah. He's the Khalifa, and now everyone needs to give him bay'ah. They misunderstood the complete concept of the Khilafah. They misunderstood the complete concept of the Khilafah, and so they ended up saying that whoever fights against him, whoever fights against ISIS, then that person does not love the Sharia, and is fighting against the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the ones who fight against the rule of Allah azza wa jalla are kuffar. Exact same thing like before. You misunderstood a complete concept, and then you built upon that and held everyone accountable for it. You held everyone to that extent of your mistake. The exact same thing they've done with the tahkim, they misunderstood it, it's the exact same thing that they've done now. Please explain to me how you came to that extreme conclusion. Which ulama gave you that understanding? Which of the ulama spoke about that understanding? Since when could a person come and call the Khilafah out of nowhere? what happened to their ulama that they used to follow, who went against them in that regard? The ulama that they said, these are the ulama of jihad, and no one gives a fatwa about jihad except for them, and these are ummah, they're lions of the ummah, and they don't fear anyone, and they've been how many years defending the aqeedah and defending and doing whatever. When they went against them in this matter, what ended up happening? He's a sellout, the guy has flipped, the guy is under control of the mukhawarat, the guy is scared, every excuse under the sun to wipe out that scholar. Tayyib, who's left? The ulama that you said are acceptable, they went against you. That you said, not that we said, not that we suggested, that you said are acceptable, they went against you. Because of whims and desires, you didn't accept what they said either. You didn't accept what they said. So what ends up happening? We're back to square one. That what we are upon, that's what it's going to be. And anyone that goes against us, he's misguided, blah, blah, blah. Whims and desires, just like it was there before, the exact same things happen today. And that's why it's so important to learn about them, to learn about the reality so that we can see straight through the mistakes that they make. Allah musta'an. From amongst the matters that gave way to the Khawarij originally, and again, still definitely until today, is the belittling of Islamic leadership. The belittling of Islamic leadership, whether it's the Khilafah or otherwise. Whether it's the Khilafah, and a person's a Khalifa, whether it's the belittling of him, or it's other than that. If a person is a legitimate Amir of a person, of a place, he deserves that obedience, according to what Islam allows. They disrespect that, and the first type, which is the ultimate, which is the Khilafah. So they have no regard for Islamic leadership. From the very beginning, we've seen that with Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, they had an issue with him. We've seen that again with the killing of Uthman and killing of Ali. We see that with the constant splitting up of the Khawarij, from one group to another, because they disagree, and they again do their own thing. Instead of being patient and persevering, even if there's oppression or even if there's wrong, but they're Muslim, being patient and persevering for the greater good, no. They're willing to cause issues, and they're willing to cause corruption, they're willing to cause bloodshed, they're willing to cause internal disputes amongst the Muslims, which prevents the external expansion of Islam. Why? Because they have no respect towards Islamic leadership. Okay, this has been from day one. When it comes to respecting Islamic leadership, does it trickle down to even situations like we have here in Australia? 100%. 100%. Can a person say a community leader here in Australia has the same right as a Khalifa? Obviously not. As an Amir? Obviously not. This is without doubt. No one in their right mind is going to say community leaders here, for example, in Australia, have the same rights in Islamic authority as somewhere overseas. That's with 100%. That's stupid for anyone to say. No one will ever say that. Nor does anyone say that. But do community leaders deserve respect? 100%. I'll give you an example, and this is a name that I will mention. This is a name that I will mention. Even though, again, I don't like Allah, I try and avoid mentioning names as much as possible. But just for the sake of us being crystal clear with these matters. Shaykh Shadi, disagree with a billion things that he does, no problem. Wallah, again, I don't care. A person wants to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a particular matter, does not bother me. Does not bother me. We need to talk facts. Shaykh Shadi, is Shaykh Shadi perfect? 100% not. Does Shaykh Shadi make mistakes? 100% not. Sorry, astaghfirullah. Does Shaykh Shadi make mistakes? 100% yes. Tayyib. How do we go about that mistake? This is the question. How do we go about that mistake? If we, as Muslims, we have certain heads in the community, and you want to do the isqat, you want to make sure that these figures, they fall. Who is the Muslim community going to go back to? Honestly. Forget for fatwa, I'm not talking about fatwa. As a Muslim community, administratively, legally, as a representative to the government, etc., who is the Muslim community going to go back to? You tell me. If Shaykh Shadi wants to put up a post, if he wants to do something that he tries to do that's beneficial to the Muslims, people want to smash him. What benefit did it bring to the community? Wallah, I'm actually asking a serious question. What benefit do we get when people want to smash him in the comment section, in front of the non-Muslims, etc.? What benefit did the Muslims get? What benefit do we get as a community when we disrespect him? I want to know. If he's made a mistake and we point out the mistake, in a respectful way, I have no issue. I have no issue. But when we want to smash him and make him amongst the youth and the elders as if he's a nobody, some ayyadah go to the extent that he's a kafir, or that he's a munafiq, or that he's an agent. These are very, very, very dangerous sentiments. What does the community benefit? Wallah, I'm all ease. Also, the people never right from wrong. Who never is? You got rid of him. Who did you replace? Who's the head there? Who's the new head? Who's the new leader? Who's the new representative? Explain to me, no problem. I'm happy to have a discussion about it. Who's the new one? This is part of the last points that we'll mention, In Sha Allah Azza wa Jal, about the love of dunya. The love of dunya. Them wanting to remove people so that they can take those positions. Again, disagree with Shaykh Shadi as much as you want, no problem. But then to make accusations, one of the geese, he said, Shaykh Shadi hit the runner because there was all this pressure that's coming now because of Gaza. He couldn't handle the pressure, he hit the runner overseas. Like Allah yahdik. Like people that aren't even close to Shaykh Shadi. The whole of Anik knew that there was, Anik, but imagine Anik, but in other Western countries. Okay, 6 major ones. The whole of Anik knew that there's a global meeting in Turkey for all of those organizations. Like a global Imams Council. Imagine Australian National, a global Imams Council. The whole of Anik knew. And that was booked, and there was a meeting for Anik, and he was going on the Sunday. So he went for that meeting. People are like, oh, he hit the runner. I mean, what? Forget that it's a bait and lie. Forget that it's a bait and lie. What did the Muslims benefit from you saying that? What did the Muslims benefit? No, again, no problem. We got rid of Shaykh Shadi. No issue. Let's get rid of Shaykh Shadi. Who do we put as a replacement? Explain to me, tell me, give people an alternative. Because what happens when there's no leader? Give me anything in life where there isn't a leader. Give me anything. And I'm not saying all of the Muslims give Shaykh Shadi bay'ah, or he leads the Muslims in Australia. I'm giving an example. Anything in life needs a leader. Your household, it needs a leader. Your soccer team needs a leader. When companions, friends are traveling, the Prophet ﷺ said to put an amir. Doesn't matter what it is on a major level like a country or on a minor level like a soccer team. Everything needs a leader. When you have leaders in the community and you want to get rid of these leaders, no problem. What happens to the Muslims? Who represents the Muslims? Who assists the Muslims? Who does anything? And if people think that, wallah, because they're making a Facebook post, it's saying that the government are dogs. That somehow that was more beneficial than any giving a letter to the Attorney General, the letter to the Prime Minister, or a letter to, a public letter, or speaking out against the media. You calling, for example, the whole Albanese, he's a dog, Chris means he's a dog. Okay, no problem. Jazakallah khairan, barakallahu feek. But what did that benefit the Muslims? Honest question, what did that benefit the Muslims? Or you making a video saying that Albanese and whoever, they're hypocrites. Okay, everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. No problem. But how was that more beneficial than what they done? Explain to me how it's more beneficial. For example, okay, forget Shaykh Shadi, go to a level of Anik. Again, is Anik perfect? 100% not. Are there issues with Anik? 100% yes. The way that some people like to talk about Anik as if there is no benefit to Anik whatsoever. No benefit to Anik whatsoever. Walid, you're a lawyer, so maybe you'll be able to assist some of the brothers when it comes to this matter. You know the laws about same-sex marriage and the LGBTQI plus agenda and how it's implemented. The main leaders defending the rights for religious groups to oppose this in New South Wales was who? Was Anik. Was Anik, the main leader. Not only for the Muslim community, but they took the lead even with other religious groups. The Jews and the Christians, etc. Other religious groups, for them to be able to say that no, this is our religion, we're not going to do it. Do you know that they wanted to force, for example, if there's a sheikh and he does Katb Kitabs, they wanted to force him that if a gay couple comes to you, you have to do that. Who were the people at the forefront, alhamdulillah, defending that? We think, oh, Anik has got nothing to do with the stupid matter, sure. What do they do? Like, brother, Allah yahdik. You don't see any of the good that they do? You don't think there's any benefit whatsoever? You don't say that behind the scenes. In Melbourne now, in Victoria, because the laws over there got passed, if a child comes to the dad and says, Dad, I think I'm a girl. A boy comes and says, Dad, I think I'm a girl. the dad is not allowed to do anything to persuade the child otherwise. If the dad says you're wrong, that child can be taken away. Tayyib, something better. They wanted to make the law that even if he comes to the sheikh, even if that child, the dad brings him to the sheikh's not allowed to convince him, talk him out of it. Did that get approved? That got approved in Victoria. The sheikh's allowed to say, in our religion, this is not allowed. That's what he's allowed to say. In our religion, because he's a person that in his mental freedom of religion, but he's not allowed to make the kid feel that he's done something wrong. He has to speak very generally. In our religion, this is not allowed, but he's not allowed to tell the kid what you're doing is wrong and you need to fix your ways, because if a person dies upon the he's not allowed to do that. And who were the main ones, alhamdulillah, fighting against that? Who were the ones leading that from the forefront? Again, people love to smash. People love to talk. But where does your message go? Where does your message go? A Facebook post? A TikTok video? Where did your message get to? Yes, there's going to be mistakes along the way. But how do you deal with that mistake? How do you deal with that issue? When you want to remove the leaders from the community, eventually it'll get back to you. Because you're going to want to put yourself there. Again, this is the problem of the Khawarij. Eventually you're going to want to put yourself there as if you are a person that can lead the Muslim community. You put yourself in that position, guess what your followers are going to do? They're going to smash you too. That's just the cycle of life that you're living in. That's how it's going to work. If we have leaders in the community, maybe they're not perfect. But how do I deal with that issue? Wallah, one brother said it beautifully, and he was talking about a particular person that subhanAllah is doing mistake X, Y, Z. How can we fix it? One of the first things he said was, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're not in that position. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're not in that position. That was number one thing. These people they're fighting for leadership. They're fighting, they want to remove people so that they can put themselves in that position. Thank Allah that you're not there. Then go, and do with that person directly. Assalamu alaikum, do you mind if I have a meeting? Ahlan wa sahlan. Go and sit with that individual. You go and sit with that individual, and again, why did you do X, Y, Z? Or why did you do this way? Maybe it does get to a point where you say, this person can't lead the Muslim community anymore. And we need to find an alternative. And we study the matter properly, and we have to say, we apologize, but please, you need to go, and we need to get this particular individual there. Maybe. That 100% is a possibility. But go and discuss it properly. But for a person to shoot from far, and say, this guy needs to go, and this guy's X, and that guy will throw him off a roof, and that guy, he's a kafir murtad, and that guy's a munafiq, and that guy gets paid the amount of short. And the best is when some people think, they figured it out. Why was Sheikh Shadi and Anik, why were they so quiet when it comes to certain matters? Because the government released $50 million funding for who? For religious organizations and places of worship and schools for them to be protected. So they're thinking what? Allahumma barik, every sheikh is going to be driving a Bentley Continental. Brother Jackson, let me tell you about this. When they released these things, who do you think the number one recipients of these grants are for? With the Jews. The Jews. If you get to Jewish schools, there's guys standing outside with assault rifles. Not like a little pistol in his back pocket, with assault rifles. Assault rifles. 24/7 security. You think that's for you and your masjid? Some masajid 100% got it. The stringent conditions that are put for you to get that funding. You need to get a guy out to initially do a report for you. That costs about 10 grand. There's a good chance your masjid doesn't get approved. The funding that you do get, obviously you have to show receipts. How many Muslims do you know doing, for you to do dodges, if you wanted to do dodges? How many Muslims do you know work in bulletproof glassing? You know, anyone been to Bukhari House? Obviously you've been to Bukhari House, you know Bukhari House. They got approved for some of that funding. Go look at what they had to do. There's not a cent that you can spare. Have you seen the doors that they have to pull? And that comes after what? That comes after you having to prove that there are actual threats. That comes after you. This was after Christchurch. There was two main ones that they announced to the community. One was after Christchurch and one now. Both of them, the main recipients are going to the Jews. They're number one recipients. Then other ones, they're open about it. Yeah, we alhamdulillah got funding. And you guys see the works that they do. Unless you're saying bulletproof doors and bulletproof glass, then no one got funding. No one got funding. It's not for you personally to go buy a bulletproof car. That doesn't work like that. It's not, mashallah, for you to do renovations and landscaping at your house. It doesn't work like that. This is actually for places of worship or for schools that every time something against religion or something like that happens, they approve a new set of funding. Okay, to make it out as if, oh, wallah, the sheikh is getting his pockets lined. Okay, pockets lined by who? Wallah, some of these mashayikh that get accused of certain things, wallah, we know that they're struggling. Like, we know, wallahi, that they're struggling financially. And and sometimes you have some brothers that may assist them, some of them are working full-time jobs. How dare you say that this person is receiving money from the government? Wallah, how dare you say it? Again, I've got no skin in the game. That sheikh is not my best friend, he's not my brother, he's not my student, he's not my sheikh even. But we need to be just. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, even if you hate someone, do not allow your hatred to lead you to not be just. Be just. That's closer to piety. But there's no fear. There's no fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to the Khawarij in these matters. Islamic leadership is a target for them. Again, whether it's on the highest of scales or trickle it down even to the lowest of scales. Islamic leadership is for them a target. And they're the ones that they love to smash first and foremost. Are there problems? Yes. How do we go about that problem? That's the question. And they have no wisdom, and they have no knowledge, nor do they have a proper methodology in doing such. The final point that we'll mention regarding the reasons for the Khawarij to come out originally was the love of dunya. The love of dunya. Even though, again, they had many aspects of ibadah, but especially the heads from amongst them, there is a love of dunya. A love of dunya. The original one, Abdullah Abdul Khawaisira, the one that the Prophet ﷺ said from his followers will be the Khawarij. What was his original complaint about? The distribution of the wubri. Nah, that was the original complaint. To do with dunya. The Khawarij that came to do with Amr ibn al-As, okay, they obviously had issues. When it came to the issues with Uthman, one of the issues, and I love this word, I learned it in the news, is nepotism. What's nepotism? What's nepotism? Red Bull, no. I don't want the ones that know, I want the ones that don't know. Or I think I want them to surprise me. That's decent, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. For a person to prefer his family. For a person to prefer his family. This is one of the things that they accused Uthman radiallahu anhu of doing. That he put his family in certain positions, and they had an issue with this. Okay, this is one of the reasons that they went against him. Again, so why are you giving it to them and you're not giving it to us? This is the problem. Why are you giving it to them and you're not giving it to us? That love of dunya, that love of leadership. They had that issue. The matter of love of dunya, after they killed Uthman radiallahu anhu, this is something that not many Muslims know. After they killed Uthman, one of the things that they went to do was steal from Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin. Even though this was the Bayt al-Mal is like a Muslim central bank that the sadaqat and the war booty and the zakat goes to, and then the Amir distributes it from there according to the Islamic needs. One of the things that they done after they killed Uthman was they went to rob Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin. You went and killed Uthman for what you believe was an honorable reason. Shukhas Bayt al-Mal al-Muslimin. What does that have to do with anything? But again, it's a love of dunya. It's a love of dunya. They'll do certain things to get certain things in return. Some of those, again, if they're not Khawarij, some of those who have the traits of the Khawarij today, I'm not sure if you've had conversations with them or not, but they love this matter of Dar al-Harb. Dar Harb. La ilaha illallah. Okay, let's talk about Dar al-Harb nation. They said the Muslim lands, you have Dar al-Islam, and you got Dar al-Kufr, and you got Dar Harb. They say, you are in Dar Harb. Okay, no problem. Jazakallah khairan. Who was the Amir? Who was the Amir to decide what's Dar al-Islam, what's Dar al-Kufr, and what's Dar al-Harb? Who was the Amir? Taban, there's no Amir, of course. Tayyib. Let's just say someone who's the Amir and he says it's Dar Harb, no problem. Who was the Amir that told us what the conditions of Dar Harb is? People that don't know, again, there's no knowledge. There's no knowledge, they're dumb. They're dumb, there's no knowledge. When it comes to Dar Harb, there's rules and conditions on how the Muslim is there. The Amir will tell you if you're allowed to go there in the first place. And then if you go there, there's rules that you're allowed to do. Why? Because if you do something and you get attacked, who's meant to have your back? The Amir. So you're meant to work on his behalf. Okay, what are the conditions? Now you're in Dar Harb, what are the conditions? If you say you're in safety, the Prophet ﷺ told you that if you want to now go and take them as open enemies, you need to separate yourself from them and then openly announce that you're an enemy to them. But to be a ghaddar is not allowed. For you to be a treacherous individual where you're acting as if, yeah, I'm living here safe and secure, and then you do things behind people's back in form of treachery, this is not allowed. So if you're going against, again, basic Islamic principles. Then what about some of the rules that some of the ulama put for Dar al-Harb? From amongst them, you're not allowed to take a mushaf. From amongst them, you're not allowed to get married. From amongst them, you're not allowed to have children. But how many of them do you think implement any of these rulings? When it comes to rules of Dar al-Harb, what's it about? What do they love about Dar al-Harb, calling it Dar al-Harb? There's two main things that they love. You can add a third. Number one, stealing. Number one, stealing. Steal from kafir, rob a bank, rob insurance jobs, buy a hurry, whatever it is, they love it. Why? Dar Harb, akhi, Dar Harb. Yeah, what's Dar Harb got to do with it? You're going off an individual. He just ripped the guy, he said, Muhammad. I told you the 7-Eleven story. Wallah, it's still to this day, it kills me. Okay? Dar Harb, steal the chocolate. Yeah, he's a Muslim. But they love it. Now, do with riba. Get a black name. Build up invoices. Who are you ripping off? You're ripping off Muslims. You're ripping off Muslims. Build up invoices, run it to the ground. You're ripping off Muslims. You're not ripping off a kafir. You're ripping off Muslims. But it's a matter of dunya. Matter of dunya. Dar Harb. You'll have to sell drugs. Who gave you this fatwa? One of them, wallah, one of my favorite answers. One of the Shaykh in Saudi. Who is he? Who is he? And imagine, a Shaykh told me that I can drink alcohol. Who is he? Wallah, he's a Shaykh in Egypt. La ilaha illallah. You're making something haram, clearly haram. You're making a halal. At least be open and telling us who it is. Again, when their own parents, some of these guys, when their own parents used to say, a Shaykh gave a fatwa that the first house on the riba is halal. What did they do to their parents? They fry them. Who's that Shaykh? How can you follow your own desires? How can you just say a Shaykh? You have to follow Quran and Sunnah. Remember? But for them now, some Shaykh, someone in Habas, who in Habas? Like, what did he study? What did he study? What did he do? Where did he learn? Is the fatwa itself correct? Then look at the conditions. Yeah, as long as you can sell, but you got to sell to the non-Muslims because you're harming them and it's like a war. And alright, but the girls are mutahajbeh. You're selling drugs to a Muslim girl. Yeah, it's better she gets off me than someone else. Wallah, this is stupidity to a new level. Stupidity to a new level. Again, no care. Someone may be a jahil, someone may be a person in terms of jahil in his actions. He says, I know it's haram, but it is what it is. He's better than the one who Islamically justifies it. He's better. Someone tells you, I saw drugs and I know it's haram. Allah yahdini, Allah yaghfirli, etc. He's better than the one who goes and sells drugs and justifies it. This is like Iblis, this one. I'm doing this rule to Adam alayhi salam. Why? Because I'm better than him. He justified it. Different. Adam alayhi salam ate from the tree, but he accepted his sin. He accepted his mistake and he repented to Allah Azza wa Jal. This one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up his heart. That one, Allah seals his heart. That's why they don't have deen. That's why the Prophet said they leave the religion. Just like the arrow leaves the prey. They have no deen. They act the religion, at the end of it, you see nothing at all. Because it's a matter of love of dunya. Dar Harb, love of dunya. For them to steal and rip off people. Where is the deen in that? And it goes to ripping off Muslims. Where is the deen in that? Where is the goodness in that? Again, that's for you to get to a level of Dar Harb in the first place. You want to get up to the level of Dar Harb, no issue. But again, Islamic justify and fulfill the conditions. Another matter that they love saying, Dar al-Harb, from the matters of loving dunya, is a lack of ibadah. Is a lack of ibadah. Again, I don't know how many of you have dealt with them, but many of them, not all of them, they won't even pray Salat al-Jum'ah. They won't even pray Salat al-Jum'ah. Why? Dar al-Harb. There's no Salat al-Jum'ah and Dar al-Harb. You subtle. Wallah subtle, wallah. Wallah subtle. Why? Why is there no Salat al-Jum'ah and Dar al-Harb? Because you can't have a masjid. Because you're at war with the person. You're at war. You're at war with the people. You don't live there. You don't live there like the Muslims are living now. It's not a black and white category nowadays. That's the reality. It's not a black and white category nowadays. But again, it's about picking and choosing. Don't get married. The same one said, don't get married. Why? Because they're worried if you get married, what are they going to do to your wife? They're going to take you as a prisoner of war. They're going to make her a slave. They're worried about your kids. Same reason. Don't bring a mushaf so they don't desecrate the mushaf. You want to apply one rule, apply all the rules. Apply all the rules, no issue. But it's a matter of whims and desires. Picking and choosing. Taking what I want and leaving what I want. They won't pray Salat al-Jum'ah. They won't pray behind the Imam. They won't pray Salat Jama'ah. Why? Because there's none of this in Dar al-Harb. This is the sad reality of these people. All of it goes back to a lot of dunya. The guy who says, I can't bother for Salat al-Jum'ah. I can't be bothered. Again, he's better. He's better than one who says, I can't be bothered for Salat al-Jum'ah. Even though it's a major sin. But it's better than the one who tries to something justify based on his whims and desires. But this is the ignorance that they're in. Wallahu musta'an. Lack of ibadah. Some of them, you say, Allah, he shaves his beard. Okay, why? So the kuffar don't know who I am. Or so the kuffar get food. Who are you fooling? Wallah, you're fooling no one but yourself. Wallah, you're fooling no one but yourself. Ashu khayif. Alhamdulillah, we don't have an issue. You have a beard here. What's the issue? Your only problem is if you want to, wallah, say, I'm going to plan an attack or do something stupid like that. But okay, maybe Asia gives you a call. Hi, we're from the Australian government, we'd like to have a conversation. They give you 2 fake names, you get me up in a cafe. Done, finish, no problem. But then, alhamdulillah, no issue. Go and live your life and be Muslim and be religious. And alhamdulillah, we don't have that pressure now. Alhamdulillah. What do you worry about beard? Wallah, that person, he told me, wallah, again, I looked at him like you're so dumb. Like, you know, when it's supposed like so dumb, he told you, okay, this is Ardas Boro, no, this is Asik Boro. Like, do you have a conversation with that person? Wallah, I couldn't have a conversation with him. I told him, yani, with all due respect, you come to a masjid which is red hot. And if you don't want the kuffar any attention, get pray at a masjid like a big Sufi masjid or something. Why would you come to this masjid? Yani, was just, and then you send you things on WhatsApp. Wallah, just stupid. Wallah, stupid. Okay, stupid. And it's for them, no one wants to be not religious. Even a person who's not religious wants to somehow justify it. Okay, this is why you get, I've got a fatwa. There's another opinion. At least I'm better than that person. Everyone has a reason why they justify everyone has a reason how they justify a wrong that they're upon. When it comes to the Khawarij, you get silly things like that. He's got a lack of deen, but he wants to somehow justify it. And he does it through these particular ways. One of the third, and I'm only mentioning it because it's been said, and I hope no one falls into that trap. One of the funny examples, again, it's funny because it's stupid. It's funny because of how bad and wrong it is committing zina. Committing zina. Like, she's a kafira, and we live in Dar al-Harb, so she's a slave, so I'm allowed to sleep with her. Ya salam, ya salam. Ya salam. حلوة هالفتوى صح؟ You can imagine how many boys would love that fatwa. You can imagine عن جد. This is again love of dunya, love of dunya, love of dunya. She's a kafira, Dar al-Harb, I take her as a slave. This is not how it works. Let's say you're in Dar al-Harb, let's say you're at war. You're at war and you capture a female. Okay? Does she automatically become your slave? Habibi, prisoners of war, number one. Prisoners of war, they need to be fighting for them to become slaves. Or they need to be assisting the fighters. Not wallah, an innocent lady in her house, and then you go and you knock on her door after meeting on Tinder and say, hi, how are you? And in the end, she's just, that's how it works. You have to be at war fighting the person, or she's assisting the fighters, and then she gets captured. Okay? And does she automatically become your slave? No. It goes back to the Amir. And then the Amir in terms of the slaves or the war booty or whatever it may be, he's the one that splits it up. Not wallah abasajak, هيدي حلوة, هيدي تخيني الله ما بدي اياها, this one's fat, I don't want her. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Naam, it goes based on the Amir and how he splits it up. But again, who's your Amir? And who gave you permission to do it in the first place? Again, like stupidity, like to the extreme. To the extreme. But they do what? A love of dunya. Love of dunya. It's a love of dunya. This is sad. What's sad, and we've mentioned it before, that some of them went to the extent that ayyadan billah, they would make takfir on Muslim girls and sleep with them, ayyadan billah. That is wallah, that's, yani, you want someone to break your heart, that breaks your heart. Yani, you make takfir on a Muslim girl so that you can change, she's the kafir and Dal Harb, and she becomes like my slave, like I said before. Again, the concept is wrong. The concept is wrong of your understanding of Dal Harb and its situation and conditions. But then on top of that, you go again with a Muslim girl, ayyadan billah. But this is again the stupidity of some of them. To show you the level of stupidity and love of dunya that some of them have, you know some of the shows that came out, wallahi I'm not joking, you know some of the shows that came out that showed like Muslim terrorist cells, etc. They would actually implement things that they seen from there in real life. Like things, for example, he would try and throw the kuffar off by going to pubs and clubs and drinking alcohol. So he would do that. What was in the sleeper terrorist cells, they would act like they integrate into society, and then that's like why he took his fatwa off. Not as an actual fatwa, but thinking that this is how people do it. That's how impressionable some of these people are. This is part of what the ulama say nowadays, that the Khawarij before were much better than the Khawarij nowadays. Because the Khawarij before, at least they had fear of Allah when it comes to sins. Yes, they used to be very belittling when it comes to takfir on Muslims, and then what the consequences of that, and they make takfir and they kill them, etc. But in terms of zina, in terms of riba, in terms of gambling, in terms of committing major sins, they were very scared of that. At least they used to pray, they used to have bigger ibadah. They used to pray, they used to read the Quran, they used to pray in Jama'ah, they used to do a lot of ibadat. Whereas nowadays, ayyadan billah, the Khawarij that are around, they've got no deen. They've got no deen. Okay, again, whether you say the Khawarij themselves or people with the traits of the Khawarij. They've got no deen. This is a very, very, very sad reality that we live in today. So these are some of the main reasons for the initial beginning of the Khawarij. Number one, ignorance. Number two, stupidity and lack of foresight. Number three, the original matter of tahkim. Number four, the building of Islamic leadership. And number five, the love of dunya. And as we mentioned before, these are very important for us to realize how they were, so that we can realize how the ones that are around, how they are now. How they are now. There's one of them, subhanAllah, again, I'm not saying he's a Khawarij, but definitely traits of the Khawarij. In terms of like almost everything that we said today, wallah, he's got it in it. Almost everything that we said today, and from last week about ignorance, that's number one, he has in him. Like an example of lack of Islamic leadership, illa he wanted to be a person known as a Shaykh and give khutab with, again I'll say the name, I'm not sure, Ahl Sunnah Jama'ah, etc. But when he had to go through a few steps before that, he went with another group that gave him a platform. Like the complete opposite. And you're willing to go here one day, but because you didn't get that platform, you went to the complete opposite. That's again the example of people who are silly when it comes to these matters. Lack of foresight. That same person for years, not 1 or 2 days, not 1 or 2 weeks, for years would go to a particular individual in the community for assistance. He would go to him, any issue he had, he would go to him and speak to him, and alhamdulillah, that person would assist him. And he would kiss that person's hand. But then when something didn't go his way, boom, turned against that person. Things that we're mentioning today, you see it to the T. To the T. And inshallah, when we get into the traits of the Khawarij, again, it will be very clear for you to understand who are these people and how are they for you to stay away from. Don't look and say, oh, maybe they're good, or maybe they have some goodness, or maybe they're 50-50, or maybe I can make a positive change. Believe me, if there was hope for them in that regard, that would have been a solution that the Prophet ﷺ gave. Yes, a person wants to discuss certain matters with them, told them, here are the mashayikh, go and discuss these matters with the mashayikh. Go, ahlan wa sahlan. But don't have high hopes that they're going to change for a long time. This is the reality of these people, and they ended up there for a particular reason, and that's a big sickness in their heart. Until they realize that, they will always be upon that path. May Allah Azza wa Jalla save us from such misguidance and darkness. هذا والله أعلم. صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.